like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. All right, y'all. So I'm back with another flashback. This time, this one's with Dr. Umar Johnson. Let's listen to what the good doctor has to say, y'all. I totally understand waiting for more people to join the live, but this is kind of overboard, Dr. Umar. Y'all, at one point while I was recording this live, I was sitting there like, okay, when are you going to get started, Umar? Like, what's going on? Is this going to be the entire live? I'm telling you, because he was sitting there for a hot minute. Boy, I tell you, Umar's sitting there thinking about how he gonna hit y'all with some bullshit. Hit the Cash App. Hit the PayPal. Now it just feels awkward. He's all up in the camera playing that weird ass music.
Peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my continental Africans. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Africans in Asia. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Africans in the South Pacific. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Africans in Europe. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Africans in Canada. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Africans in Australia. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my South American Africans. Brazil, we stand with you. Brazil, we stand with you. Brazil, we stand with you. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Central American Africans. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Caribbean Africans. Curacao, I will see you in April. St. Martin, I will see you in April. Suriname, I will see you in April. King Kong returns to the Dutch Empire. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my American Africans. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Carolina Africans, my Maryland Africans, my Virginia Africans, my District of Columbia Africans, my Wisconsin Africans, my Illinois Africans, my Pennsylvania Africans, my Michigan Africans, my Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine Africans. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama Africans. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my Arizona Africans. Peace and Pan-Africanism to my California Africans. This is your big brother, King Kong Consciousness, Big Papa, Notorious RBG, most requested, most relevant, most consistent African scholar in the world. Brothers and sisters, tonight's lesson on my very first live stream seminar of the year is going to focus on multiculturalism as a weapon against African people. Tonight, we're going to talk about multiculturalism as a weapon against African people. Before we start, I want to say thank you to the brothers and sisters in New York City who showed up and showed out last night for the...
All right, so this live may be interesting after all. He's going to hit on multiculturalism. Let's listen to what the good doctor has to say.
Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad birthday celebration. Peace and Pan-Africanism to the New York City Africans who showed up and showed out last night in Black Brooklyn for the Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad Earth Day celebration. I want to remind my DMV Africans. I want to remind my DMV Africans that I will be in Baltimore, Black Baltimore, Maryland. The first day of Black History Month is going down in Black Baltimore, Maryland. The first day of Black History Month, February the 1st, we will be at the Empowerment Temple. I will be posting that information on my Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you need that information, you can text message me for it after today's live stream has ended. Also coming up this year, I'm going back to Curacao in the Caribbean islands, St. Martin in the Caribbean islands, Suriname in South America, Brazil in South America. Ireland is on the agenda. Returning to Black Europe is on the agenda. We got Memphis, Tennessee on the agenda. We got St. Louis, Missouri on the agenda, and a whole host of other African communities will see the Prince of Pan-Africanism. This is the Victory Lap. This is the Victory Lap. 2023 is the Victory Lap because 2024 FDMG opens. Brothers and sisters, if all goes well, we will be having our community grand opening celebration of the Marcus Garvey Academy, of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, the first school in the history of America. The first school in the history of America. The first school in the history of America to be purchased, renovated, and operated exclusively by the African diaspora. Never before has there been a school that was made possible by the entire African diaspora. This is Pan-African history. This is Pan-African history. This is Pan-African history. Hit your Cash App, $ FDMG School.
See, I told y'all it was coming. I told y'all it was coming. Hit your Cash App. Hit your PayPal.
Hit your Cash App, $ FDMG School. Hit your Cash App, $ FDMG School. Hit your PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Hit your PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Hit your PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Check of money orders can be mailed. Check of money orders can be mailed. Check and money orders can be mailed, payable to FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware. FDMG Academy, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware 19809. Brothers and sisters, if you need to reach me after tonight's broadcast, my cell number 215-989-9858. My cell number 215-989-9858. My cell number 215-989-9858. $ FDMG School is the Cash App. Beware of fake Cash Apps. Beware of fake Cash Apps. $ FDMG School on the Cash App. Beware of fake PayPal. It must say FDMG Academy on the PayPal. Brothers and sisters, if you're interested in working at the school, now is the time to get your resume in. If you're interested in working at the school, now is the time to get your resume in. If you're interested in volunteering at the school, now is the time to get your resumes in. FDMGresumes@gmail.com. 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 New orientation for the Pan-Africanist of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. I repeat, new student orientation for the Pan-Africanist of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. New student orientation for the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade.
And now in this video, he's going to postpone the opening yet again. First, it was supposed to be in February, the last weekend of February. Now it's a totally different story. This school is never going to open, y'all. If he gets it open, I will congratulate him. But as far as I'm concerned, as of right now, it doesn't look good, y'all. It doesn't look good at all. He keeps putting it off.
Will take place beginning on the most honorable Marcus Garvey solar return of 2024. That is August the 17th of 2024. August the 17th of 2024. August the 17th of 2024. That's when the 2nd grade Africans, the 3rd grade Africans, and the 4th grade Africans will show up to begin orientation 2 weeks before they begin school. Orientation will begin 2 weeks before school. Orientation will begin on Marcus Garvey's birthday of 2024, 2 weeks before school. On the 5th day of orientation, August 21st of 2024, on the 5th day of orientation, August the 21st of 2024, your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders, your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders will be taken to the Nat Turner land. They will be taken to the Nat Turner land on August the 21st of 2024, and they will experience the Nat Turner Trail, the Nat Turner Tour. They will get the Nat Turner lesson. This is orientation. School hasn't even started yet. This is orientation. School hasn't even started yet. On August the 22nd, they will get the Dr. Umar tour at the Great Blacks and Wax Museum. On August the 23rd, they will go to the Frederick Douglass House in Washington, D.C. August the 24th, they will go to Frederick Douglass's gravesite in Harriet Tubman's home and Harriet Tubman's gravesite. School has not even started yet. School has not even started yet. This is just orientation. This is just orientation. This is just orientation. And then on September the 3rd of 2024, on September the 3rd of 2024, on September the 3rd of 2024, the anniversary of the most honorable Frederick Douglass's escape from slavery in Baltimore. On September the 3rd, 2024, the anniversary of the most honorable Frederick Douglass's escape from slavery in Baltimore. On the day Frederick Douglass escaped from slavery, September the 3rd, the intellectual insurrection, first day of school for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade Pan-Africanists of the Marcus Garvey Academy of the FDMG campus will begin school. September 3rd, 2024, the intellectual insurrection begins at the first school in American history built by the African diaspora. Pan-Africanism yesterday, Pan-Africanism tomorrow, Pan-Africanism forever. I need my parents to listen in. I need my parents to listen in. If you plan on enrolling your student at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Intellectual Insurrection Academy for African Liberation, 2024-2025 school year will only be 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. The 2025-2026 school.
So not only is he postponing the opening of the school, he's also only going to be providing 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, guys. All of this time waiting for this school to open, and now we learn that, it's only going to be 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. Okay. All right, Dr. Umar.
School year, we will add 1st grade and 5th grade. The 3rd year of operation, we will add kindergarten and 6th grade. The 4th year of operation, we will add preschool in the following grade. And then we will add daycare in the 8th grade. So in 5 years' time, we will have all K through 8. We're starting with 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We will add 1st and 5th the 2nd year. We will add kindergarten and 6th the 3rd year. We will add pre-K and 7 the 4th year. And we will add daycare in 8 the 5th year. And then we will add 9th grade the 6th year, 10th grade the 7th year, 11th grade the 8th year, and 12th grade on the year of the ancestors, number 9. Our 9th year, 9 represents the ancestors. Our 9th year of operation, we plan to have all 12 grades in operation. It could come quicker. It could happen sooner. But as a worst case scenario, it will take us 9 years to have the full pre-K through 12th grade operation functional. Parents, there will be 8 bus stops for FDMG. There will be 8 bus stops for FDMG. There will be a bus stop in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that will take our sons to school and bring them back every day. There will be a bus stop in Chester, Pennsylvania, that will take our sons from Chester to FDMG back to Chester at the end of the day. If you live in the state of Maryland, there will be a bus from Baltimore every day. There will be a bus back and forth to Baltimore, Maryland every day. There will be a bus back and forth to Eastern Shore, Maryland every day. If you live in New Jersey, there will be a bus from Trenton, New Jersey every day from Trenton, New Jersey. Camden, New Jersey, there will be a bus every day from Camden, New Jersey. And if you live in the state of Delaware, there will be a bus from Dover, Delaware every day, and a bus from the city of Wilmington where we exist. Those will be the 8 stops for boys who are coming to receive the most revolutionary, insurrectionary education that has ever been given forth in the history of modern man. Oh yes. It's not going to be a good Garvey Day on September the 3rd of 2024. It's going to be a great Garvey Day. It's not going to be a good Garvey Day on September the 3rd, 2024. It's going to be a great Garvey Day. When your sons show up for orientation on August the 17th of 2024, when your sons show up for orientation on August the 21st of 2024, make sure they ready. Make sure they ready, because what they're going to get and what they're going to experience, they have never seen, has never heard. No eye has seen, no ear has heard what they're going to experience. We're going to take them into the mountains. We're going to take them up in the mountains so they can learn the FDMG pledge, the FDMG motto, the FDMG chant. It's going to be a great Garvey Day. It's going to be a great Garvey Day, brothers and sisters. Oh, yes. The ancestors have spoken. The Most High has opened the way. And the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy is ready. Parents, I need you to understand the tuition schedule. Because if you do not pay, your son cannot come. Your first year at the school, you will make 2 tuition payments, just like you do in college. You will pay for the fall semester during the summer, and you will pay for the spring semester during the winter. You will pay for the fall semester during the summer, and you will pay for the spring semester during the winter. 2 payments. This is very important. Your first 2 years as an FDMG parent, you will not be allowed to pay on a month-to-month basis. You must pay for the entire semester, fall and spring. That means start saving your money. That means start saving your money. That means, parents, start saving the tuition money right now. January to January is 12 months. February, March, April, May, June, July, and August. You have 19 months to get your tuition ready for the first year. You have 19 months to start saving your money. There is no financial aid. That's your job. My job is to operate the school, pay the bills, educate the children. Your job is to come up with the money. Your job is to come up with the money. Stop looking for handouts. You are wearing your child's tuition. Your child's tuition is on your feet. Your child's tuition is on your hair. Your child's tuition is in your driveway. Your child's tuition is in your wardrobe. Your child's tuition is underneath the television stand. Oh, you have tuition. What you don't have is your priorities in order. You have tuition. What you don't have is your priorities in order. You have tuition. What you don't have is your priorities in order. No excuses. If you cannot pay, send them to the local charter school. If you cannot pay, keep them at home on the cyber charter school. If you cannot pay, go ahead and send them to public school. And when your son sees the mighty students of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy walking around in their uniforms, and your son says, Mommy, Daddy, why can't I go to Dr. Umar's school? Make sure you tell them Air Jordans was more important. Fake hair was more important. Video games was more important. My designer clothing was more important. That's for you to do. That's for you to do. You will pay the entire fall semester in the summer. You will pay the entire spring semester in the winter. If your son is still around the second year, if your son is invited back the second year, you will now have 4 payments. You can divide the fall tuition into 2. You can divide the spring tuition into 2. And if your son is invited back for the 3rd year, you can now pay on a month-to-month basis from the 3rd year until he graduates from 12th grade. From the 3rd year until he graduates from the 12th grade, you can pay.
Okay, Dr. Umar. So we get a little bit of a leeway the longer the kid goes to your school. That's a great idea.
Month to month. But for the first 2 years, I have to study your financial commitment to your son's education. For the first 2 years, I must study your financial commitment to your son's education. What do you mean, Dr. Umar, if he's invited back? What do you mean if he is invited back? What I mean, if your son is not fulfilling the obligations expected at the FDMG Academy, if his parents are not fulfilling the objectives and requirements set forth by the FDMG Academy, he will be disinvited from the school. He will be disinvited from the school. See, the waiting list for this school will be down the street and around the corner. The waiting list for this school will be longer than the line to get into Foot Locker. The waiting list for this school will be longer than the line you stand in for Christmas gifts. The waiting list for this school will be longer than the line you stand in to get your weave put in. And the waiting list for this school will be longer than the line to get into the restaurant to treat your snow bunny to dinner. So if you cannot pay the tuition, no problem. Please step aside. Please step aside and let a parent who can pay the tuition step inside. If you can't pay the tuition, please step outside and let a parent who's willing to pay the tuition step inside. If you can't pay the tuition, then please step outside and let a parent who can afford the tuition step inside. We talking academic revolution. We are talking academic revolution.
All right, y'all. I'm not even going to hold y'all. We are not talking about academic excellence at this time. At this time, we're really talking about a school that has been pending opening for 9 years. That's what we're talking about.
We are talking academic revolution. No games will be played. August the 17th, 2024. Parents, you better be ready. You had better be ready, because education is not a joke. I come in the spirit of Booker T. Washington. I come in the spirit of Mary McLeod Bethune. I come in the spirit of Octavius Cato and all of those great black educators who built the HBCU college system. I'm not playing no games. Once a week, your son will have a long day of school. Once a week, your son will have a long day of school. Because once a week, every class will have family dinner with their principal, the Prince of Pan-Africanism. We will eat together as a family in the John Jacques Dessalines Nat Turner Gymnasium. We will eat together. I will teach them how to eat at a formal dinner table. And then after they eat, they will come and have a seat in the Amy Garvey Anna Douglas Park. And I will give them a fireside chat. The fireside chat will feature a lesson of one of the lives of our great ancestors. The fireside chat will be Dr. Umar sitting down on the earth with your son, and I will by the fire with the incense burning, with the marshmallows, the vegan marshmallows, and we will, as a brotherhood, form a bond as I teach them and educate them about one of the great ancestors every week at the fireside chat. We talking revolution. We talking academic revolution. No school you've ever seen, no school you've ever heard of, no school you have ever attended will ever resemble what we are about to do. Let's get into the message tonight. Let's get into the message tonight. The school will be 90% raw and vegan. If you are a chef, submit your resume along with a meal plan. Submit your resume along with a meal plan for 1 month. If you are submitting a resume to be in charge of the food for breakfast and lunch, I need to see a meal plan, 90% raw and vegan. Needless to say, you will have to get the necessary licenses and permits from the state of Delaware and the city of Delaware before you can enter into a contract with the FDMG Academy to provide food for our young people. My brothers, if you like to hunt, if you like to camp, if you like to go fishing, submit your resume. Dr. Umar, I want to be part of the hunting team. Dr. Umar, I want to be part of the fishing team. Dr. Umar, I want to be part of the martial arts team. Dr. Umar, I want to be part of the gun club, the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy Gun Club. We talking academic revolution. We talking academic revolution. We talking academic revolution. Let's get into the message tonight. I don't want to give you too much. I know the haters are salivating. I don't want to give you too much. I know the haters are salivating. I don't want to give you too much. I know the haters are salivating. Let's talk about multiculturalism as a weapon against African people putting themselves first. I want to talk tonight, and I'm only going to keep you for an hour, but I want to talk tonight about multiculturalism being a weapon against African people. Why does Dr. Umar call multiculturalism a weapon against African people? The reason I'm calling multiculturalism a weapon against African people is due to the fact multiculturalism did not begin being pushed through American society, through Western history, through Europe, Canada, South Africa, Australia, France, all the European theaters of power, all the European countries. They started pushing multiculturalism in the 1970s and the 1980s as a response to the African-centered approach to the study of history, culture, and civilization. I'm going to say it again. Multiculturalism was put out by the white power structure to dismiss and distract away from African-centered approach to history, culture, and civilization. When our Grand Master teachers gave birth to the Black knowledge and Black book explosion of the 1960s through the 1990s, when our scholars gave birth to the Black book and Black information explosion from the 1960s to the 1990s, that's when the white power structure stepped up and said, wait. We can't have no African-centered approach to spirituality. We can't have no African-centered approach to culture. We can't have no African-centered approach to civilization. So racism put multiculturalism out to undermine the African genesis of humanity. I said the white power structure put multiculturalism out to take away from the African genesis of civilization. I need you to understand, overstand, and understand me. Nobody practices multiculturalism except African people. Nobody practices multiculturalism except African people. Nobody practices multiculturalism except African people. Nobody practices it. Multiculturalism is a psychological weapon to brainwash black people into thinking the world cares about them as much as they care about themselves. Multiculturalism is a psychological technique used against politically uneducated black people to seduce you into thinking that the world cares as much about you as they care about everybody else. That's what multiculturalism is. If you disagree, show me the black presence in the Chinese neighborhood. Show me the black presence in the Chinese economy. Show me the black presence in the European Jewish community. Show me the black presence in the Arab community. Show me the black participation in the Anglo-Saxon community. Multiculturalism is a joke. And we're going to talk about the negative effects of multiculturalism, the social costs of multiculturalism against black people, the financial costs of multiculturalism against black people, the intellectual and cultural costs of multiculturalism against black people, the emotional costs of multiculturalism against black people, and the political costs of multiculturalism against black people. The snow bunny crisis is a form of multiculturalism. How is that helping us? The snow bunny crisis is a form of multiculturalism. How is that helping African people? The snow bunny crisis is a form of multiculturalism. How is that helping African people? Black men dating and marrying out the race. Black women dating and
I mean, I get where he's coming from, but at the end of the day, you know, if you fall in love with somebody out of your race, what can you do about it? And let me be clear, I have never dated outside of my race. However, again, if you fall in love with someone outside of your race, what are you supposed to do?
Marrying out the race. How does the snow bunny crisis benefit black people? An interracial relationship is a multicultural relationship. An interracial relationship is a multicultural relationship. When I see black men go to Africa and become kings in Africa, that's multiculturalism. When you see a white man go to Africa, become a king, a traditional ruler in Africa, when you see a white man go to Africa and marry an African woman and become a chief of a village, you see white people go to Africa and get initiated into our sacred spiritual traditions. And now the white man is a priest of Ifa, a priest of Voodoo, a priest of Dogon, a priest of Akan. That is blasphemy against the ancestors. That is blasphemy against the ancestors. That is blasphemy against the ancestors. Multiculturalism is a trap. Multiculturalism is a trap. Multiculturalism is a trap. Let's compare all the white men who go to Africa and become kings. Let's compare all the white men who go to Africa and become kings. Let's compare all the whites who get initiated into African sacred spiritual traditions. Let's compare the white priests and priestesses of African religion to what Meghan Markle went through in the Queen's palace. Meghan Markle, mixed race African woman, goes and marries Prince Harry. She thinks she's going to be royalty. She marries Prince Harry. She thinks she's going to be royalty. And the whole world tells her, you're not royalty. Your son is not royalty. You have no claims whatsoever to the British throne by way of your African blood. Look at how the British dealt with multiculturalism in the family, and look at how African people deal with multiculturalism in the family. Look at how the Queen of England dealt with Meghan Markle, and look at how the kings of Africa deal with white folks who want to become part of the royal family. If you are not of the bloodline, you cannot join the royal family. If you are not of the bloodline, you cannot join the royal family. Let me ask you a question. When Meghan Markle and her son were denied their claim on the British throne, who condemned the Queen of England for saying that? Who condemned the royal family of Britain? Why wasn't the Queen called a racist? Why wasn't the Queen called an imperialist? Why was it perfectly okay with the white world that Meghan Markle and her son were disowned by the royal family of Britain? Why did nobody protest on Meghan Markle and her son's behalf? Because multiculturalism is a game they run on black folks. Nobody else practices it. And the black church has really hurt African people because the black church has deified multiculturalism. The black church has deified multiculturalism. The black church has deified multiculturalism. What do I mean when I say the black church has deified multiculturalism? The African American masjid and the African American church. The African American masjid, the African American church, the African American Kingdom's Hall. The African American Kingdom's Hall, the African American masjid, and the African American church has brainwashed black people into thinking God wants you to be a multiculturalist. That's right. Black religion has brainwashed the black community into believing God wants you to be a multiculturalist. He wants you to be a colorblind multiculturalist. But when you study the Bible, for those of you who follow the Abrahamic narrative, if you study the Bible, God was a nationalist. God was not an integrationist. Over and over and over again in the Bible, certain kingdoms were told not to mix their seed with other kingdoms. Over and over and over again in the Bible, certain kingdoms were told not to mix their seed with other kingdoms. So how can you claim that God was a colorblind multiculturalist when your holy book clearly tells certain kingdoms, especially those who were blessed by God, not to mix their seed? So if God ordered the Holy Family not to mix their seed in the Bible, if God ordered the Holy Family not to mix their seed in the Bible, does that not mean that we should not mix our seed? Who is the Holy Family on the planet Earth? Who is the Holy Family on the planet? Who's the royal family on this planet? It ain't got nothing to do with the religion you belong to. The biggest lie ran on African people was you had to belong to a certain religion in order to become the chosen of God. That is a lie. The biggest lie told to African people, that God chose a religion. No. God never chose any religion. God chose a people, and the people God chose are the original people, and the original people are African people. So if the Bible says that the chosen of God are not to mix their seeds with those outside of the royal kingdom, then why are African people mixing our seed with every other race of people under the sun? Why are we mixing our seed? Multiculturalism is a trap. And let me tell you why they want you to keep on mixing your seed. No disrespect to my mixed race African family. I consider you brothers and sisters on the same level, no different than any full-blooded African. No disrespect to my mixed race African brothers and sisters. I consider you brothers and sisters no different than any full-blooded African, as long as you identify full-time as an African. You have to be a full-time African. I do not accept part-time Africans. You must be a full-time African. The reason why they want African people to mix your seeds with non-Africans, especially Europeans, but non-Africans, number one, to reduce the amount of black people in this country who identify as black. Stay with me. I need you to understand, overstand, and understand. They are mixed racing black people out of existence. I'm going to say it again. They are mixed racing black people out of existence. I'm going to say it one more time. They are mixed racing black people out of existence. Now, some of you are going to say, Dr. Umar, you just said mixed race Africans are African. Yes, I did. But a lot of mixed race Africans don't identify as African. From 2000 to 2010, we saw the amount of Africans who call themselves mixed race on the U.S. Census grow exponentially. From 2000 until Barack Obama's election, from the year 2000 to mixed race Obama's election, we saw the amount of blacks who disidentify from being African American into being mixed race, multicultural, biracial. It grew up. So the more black people mix their seed, the smaller the amount of black people appear on paper. Listen to me. The more mixed race Africans identify as something other than African, the smaller our population appears to look in this country. I'll give you an example. According to the 2020 census, Black America is 14% of the country.
Y'all, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought if a melanated man procreated with any other race, that child would be still considered as a melanated child. Am I right or wrong here?
To the 2020 census. The 2000 census, we were 17%. The 2000 census, we were approximately 17% of America. Right now, they're saying we're 14% of America. My question to you, what happened to that 3% of African Americans? What happened to the 3% of African Americans who mysteriously disappeared from the 2000 census, from the 2010 census to the 2020 census? We went from 17% of America to 14%. What happened to the 3% of African Americans who disappeared between the 2010 census and the 2020 census? You know what happened to them? They became mixed racial and biracial. That's what happened to them. They became mixed racial and biracial. That's what happened to them. See, America is promoting interracial love to black people as a way of doing what? Statistically exterminating you on paper. Did y'all hear what I just said? Statistical extermination. Statistical extermination. Statistical on paper. We're going to make it look like there's less black people in America than there really are, so we can justify less resources, so we can justify paying less attention to black people. They are committing statistical genocide against blacks. Because if I can get black people to accept the fact that they're dropping by 3% every census, if I can get black people to believe their numbers are shrinking by 3% every census, I can start exterminating black people physically and nobody will even question me because I've already gotten black people to buy into the idea that their numbers are shrinking by 3% every year. Our numbers are not shrinking. The problem is more and more black people are identifying as mixed race and biracial. And a lot of them don't even have a white parent. Stay with me. Listen to me. This is the multicultural trap. A lot of Africans in America are calling themselves biracial who don't even have a white parent or a non-African parent. So how is an African American getting away with calling themselves biracial when they don't even have a white parent? You know why? They have a white grandparent. They have a white grandparent. They are quadroon. They are identifying as quadroon. And then you have other Negroes who have one white great-grandparent. They are identifying as octoroon. So we got octoroon Negroes in America. We got Negroes with one white great-grandparent who are identifying as biracial. This is how much we hate ourselves. This is how much we hate ourselves. Stop saying African. Let me get rid of you. You don't come on my live and tell me what to do. Block. So you have black people with a white great-grandparent who are calling themselves biracial. They don't look no different than me. They look just like Dr. Umar, but when they fill out the census, they're putting biracial because they have a white great-grandparent. That's an octoroon. And then you have Negroes with a white grandparent. 25% Caucasian blood, and they think they're octoroon, and they're calling themselves biracial. And the white man laughs. The white man laughs. The white man says, good. Let them keep on disidentifying from their race on paper. Let them keep on disidentifying from their race on paper. Let them keep on disidentifying from their race on paper so we can statistically exterminate them. We can render them a useless minority group. That's what they're doing. They're saying the reason we pay more attention to Hispanic is because there's more of them than you all. And then, but when you go into the Hispanic group, a lot of the so-called Hispanic are Spanish-speaking Africans who look just like Dr. Umar. Y'all see this game they running on us? They are dividing up the African population in America. They are dividing up the African population in America. They are.
All right, y'all, let's take a brief break from Dr. Umar so that I can introduce you to this book titled Greatness is a Habit, authored by Aaron Dixon. This book is currently available on Apple Books for $1. Let me tell y'all, if you guys are interested in individual development and overall growth, then this book is definitely going to be a good read for you. I got my copy, and let me tell you, I love this book.
Are dividing up the African population in America. Thank you for that, my brother. You just brought up a good point. You just brought up a good point. My brother just said, what about all the pretendians? My brother just said, what about all of the pretendians? My brother just said, what about all of the pretendians in the African American community who don't consider themselves black? They consider themselves Native American. Let me tell you what the pretendians are doing. They are boosting the numbers of Native Americans. And by boosting the numbers of Native Americans, by identifying as Native American, they are helping to eliminate our political power and strengthen the political power of the real Native Americans who do not accept or identify with the pretendian movement. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So the pretendians are disidentifying from race. Black Latinos are disidentifying from their race. And then we got mixed race black people, as well as octoroons and quadroons with a white grandparent or white great-grandparent disidentifying from their race, making our numbers look smaller and smaller until one day the white man is going to say, we don't have any more identifiable African Americans. Did y'all hear what I just said? I'm going to repeat it. Did you hear what I just said? I'm going to repeat it. Did you hear what I just said? I'm going to repeat it. The day is going to come. If we keep on mixing our seed, the white man is going to say, it doesn't look like we have any more identifiable African people in America. Even
Dr. Umar, we know you was going to repeat it. You say everything 3 times. That's why they call you Umar 3 times, right?
Even though they got all these light-skinned Africans, even though they got all these mixed-race Africans, even though they got all these light-skinned Africans, even though they got all these mixed-race Africans, the white man going to say, I don't see any more identifiable Africans. And even though we got millions of mixed race Africans and light-skinned Africans, most of them don't identify as black. And since we don't have enough light-skinned Africans and mixed race Africans to identify as black, we might as well remove black from the census. We might as well remove black as a population. We might as well remove black as a community. We might as well stop talking about black people. Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, you have no idea the problems you are causing for us. You have no idea how you are supporting African genocide by not only mixing your seed, but disidentifying from your race. And let me also say, to Africans who don't accept mixed race Africans, you part of the problem too. And I'm going to tell you why. For Africans who don't accept mixed race Africans, you part of the problem too. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you are trying to force mixed race Africans to disidentify from their race. And by you not accepting your own black brothers and sisters by virtue of having a white parent, you automatically reduce our numbers even further. You are also part of the problem because you are not overstanding, and understanding that there is a statistical genocide at play on paper. There's a statistical genocide at play on paper, a prelude to the physical genocide. A prelude to the physical genocide. So let's talk about the social cost of multiculturalism. Let's talk about the social cost of multiculturalism. So one of the big social costs of multiculturalism is the snow bunny crisis. The snow bunny crisis. I'm not going to spend any more time on the snow bunny crisis. A second social cost of multiculturalism, it eliminates the uniqueness of the black experience. Multiculturalism eliminates the uniqueness of the black experience. See, the white man says, black people, stop talking about slavery. Black people, stop talking about Jim Crow. Black people, stop talking about civil rights. Other people also caught hell just like you. See, multiculturalism denies black people their unique historical experience in this country and around the world. The minute you bring up slavery, they bring up the European Jewish Holocaust. The minute you bring up slavery, they want to bring up the European Jewish Holocaust. The minute you bring up slavery, they start talking about all the other groups who used to be slaves. But what they never talk about is your slavery was the worst treatment of human people in history. What they don't talk about, your slavery was the longest. What they don't talk about, your slavery is the only one that dehumanized us. What they don't talk about, your slavery is the only one where the slave master owned your entire family lineage forever. Forever. No other slavery did the slave master own perpetually and eternally the entire lineage of an entire people. This is why we cannot become multiculturalists. I am not a multiculturalist. My people's experience is unlike anybody's. What I went through, the European Jew didn't go through. What I went through, the Native American didn't go through. What I went through, the Arab didn't go through. The East Indian didn't go through. What I went through, the Latino didn't go through. What I went through, nobody else went through. So you're not going to multiculturalize my people's experience. This is the trap. This is the trap. Don't you ever fall for this multiculturalism talk. Everybody was slaves before. Everybody was oppressed before. Everybody was mistreated before. And when you fall for that multicultural argument, they're able to dismiss the uniqueness of African people and force you to blend into this people of color. This people of color identity crisis. Don't ever become part of the people of color identity crisis, because no people of color calls themselves people of color except Africans. Let me say it again. The only people who call themselves people of color are black people, because you don't want to stand up and stand out. The only people who call themselves people of color are black people, because you don't want to stand up and stand out. Jews call themselves Jews. Chinese call themselves Chinese. Latina call themselves Latina. Arabs call themselves Arabs. Mexicans call themselves Mexicans. East Indians call themselves Indians. Only black people call themselves people of color, because you don't want to stand up and you don't want to stand out. I am not a person of color. I am an African. I am not a person of color. I am a black man. I am not a person of color. I am a descendant of the Africans who were kidnapped, forced to come to this country and built it. I am not a person of color. I am a black man.
Now, on this point, I could totally agree with Dr. Umar saying that, we need to stand up and stand out and acknowledge the fact that we are melanated, we are African people.
We have to stand up and stand out. We cannot allow them to exterminate us with our own silence. We cannot allow them to exterminate us with our own silence. We cannot allow them to exterminate us with our own silence. Next up, black religion is a big part of the multicultural trap against African people. The black church, the black masjid, I don't care if you Muslim, I don't care if you Christian, I don't care if you Jehovah's Witness, whatever you in. 99% of all black religions are multicultural. And because they deify multiculturalism, and because they deify multiculturalism, I have nothing against the Latino African brothers and sisters. In fact, I consider them part of the African family if they identify full-time as African. And for the ones who don't, I still respect them, just like I respect African Americans who hate their African blood. You still a human being. I'm still going to respect you as a person, although I cannot respect your political ideology. The black church has brainwashed black people into thinking God don't want you to see color. The black church has brainwashed black people into thinking God don't want you to see color. The black church has brainwashed black people into thinking God don't want you to see color. If God didn't want you to see color, why did he make you so much darker than everybody else? If God don't want you to see color, why did he make your hair so much nappier than everybody else? If God don't want you to see color, why did he make your voice deeper than everybody else? If God didn't want you to stand up and stand out, why did he make the black woman 5'5" and extra thick in the thighs. I said, if God didn't want us to stand out, why did he make the black woman 5'5", extra thick in the thighs? If God didn't want you to stand out, God would not have made you different. If God didn't want you to stand out, God would not have made you different. And the reason you look different, the reason you are different is because you are the chosen people. Not because of no Torah, not because of no Bible, and not because of no Quran. You are the chosen people because God chose to put you here first. You are the chosen people, not because of no Torah, not because of no Bible, not because of no Quran. You are the chosen people because God chose to put you here first. The black church is a big problem for black liberation.
I have to agree with him on that. The black church is a huge problem for black liberation because, one, they're not really doing anything in the community. Two, their goal is to collect tithes and offerings, and that's about it. I'm not seeing any of these black churches doing anything to improve the state of black America.
The black church is a big problem for black liberation. The black church is a big problem for black liberation because they multiculturalize all of our problems out of existence. The next social cost of multiculturalism is it makes us feel bad for putting ourselves first. One of the biggest problems I see with black people in the race first agenda of the most honorable Marcus Garvey, the biggest problem I find with black people in the race first agenda of the most honorable Marcus Garvey, the biggest problem I find is black people feel conflicted about being for black people first. You're the only people in the world. You don't feel right. You feel like you are committing a sin against God. You feel like you're committing a sin against humanity by caring about your people first. Every black person I have heard, they always have to qualify their love for themselves by saying, I don't hate nobody else. Why do you have to say, I don't hate nobody else after you say, I love my people first? Why does every black person have to say, I don't hate nobody after they say they love themselves? You are the only people who have to clarify that your self-love does not mean hatred for any other group. You are the only people who has to clarify that your self-love does not mean hatred for another group. You are the only people in the world who have to qualify that your self-love does not mean a hatred for other group. Nobody else says that. The Jew says, I'm for Jews. It's assumed he don't hate nobody else. Chinese say, I'm for Chinese. It's assumed he don't hate nobody else. Latinos say, I'm for Latinos. It's assumed they don't hate nobody else. But when a black man says, I love black people, when a black woman says, I love black people, in the very next breath, right after they say, unapologetically, I love my people, they apologize the very next breath. Right after y'all say, unapologetically, I love my people, the very next breath, y'all apologize and say, but I that don't mean I don't have nothing against nobody else. I don't have nothing against, why nobody else has to clarify? You never hear nobody say, I love my people, but I don't hate the blacks. I love being Chinese, but I don't hate the blacks. I love being a European Jew, but I don't hate the blacks. I love being an Arab, but I don't hate the blacks. Why doesn't anybody else have to clarify their self-love? You're the only people who have to clarify your self-love. Multiculturalism is a trap. Now, let's talk about the emotional costs of multiculturalism. Is this beneficial for y'all brothers and sisters? This is my first live of the new year. I want to make sure it's beneficial.
I'm going to say some of your points are beneficial. Others I view as really racially charged rhetoric. But most of your points, I'll give you your flowers. You're doing the damn thing, Dr. Umar.
Ladies, give me some hearts. Brothers, give me some fists. Ladies, give me some hearts. Brothers, give me some fists. Are you learning something? Is this beneficial? Because I don't like wasting people's time, because I don't like people to waste my time. Are we learning? Okay. Okay. And make sure you subscribe to www.drumar.tv for more content like this. Because in the new year, most of my lessons, most of my wisdom is coming through www.drumar.tv. So make sure you go and subscribe tonight to www.drumar.tv. Let's talk about the emotional cost of multiculturalism. And I know every black person watching can identify. I don't care if you mixed race African. I don't care if you full-blooded African. I don't care if you American African, continental African, Caribbean African, British African, Canadian African, Australian African. Everybody can identify with what I'm about to say. The number one emotional cost of being trapped in a prison of multiculturalism is you always have to explain your black perspective. Give me some fire if you understand where I'm coming from right now. Give me some fire if you understand where I'm coming from right now. When you are the black person in the room, and you give your experience as a black person, you have to always explain and defend yourself. If you understand, overstand, or understand me, give me some fire on Instagram. Give me some fire on TikTok. Give me some fire on Facebook. Who can identify? How many of you was at the job as one of the only few blacks, and when the Chinese gave their experience, it was okay? When the Arabs gave their experience, it was okay. When the Latinos gave their experience, it was okay. When the European Jews gave their experience, it was okay. When the Native Americans gave their experience, it was okay. But the minute you opened your black mouth and talked about what it is like to be black and how you are treated as a black man or a black woman, you had to explain yourself over and over again, because everybody else in the room tried to dismiss your narrative. They tried to dismiss your experience. This is why multiculturalism is a trap. This is why multiculturalism is a trap. Because when you walk into a room as a black person, there will be some Chinese, there will be some European Jews, there will be some Latino, there will be some Native American, there will be some Arab, there will be some Anglo-Saxon, there will be some East Indian. It looks like it's multicultural, don't it? But guess what? With all that diversity in the room, guess what everybody in that room agrees on except you? Guess what everybody in that room agrees on except you? The white man agrees. The Chinese agrees. The Latino agree. The Arab agree. The East Indian agree. The Jew agree. They all agree that the black person in the room is irrelevant and unworthy of respect. Am I wrong, brothers and sisters? Am I wrong, brothers and sisters? Even in a so-called multicultural context, you are still victimized by white racism through proxy from all the other groups in the room. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You say, wait a minute. This room is culturally diverse, but I still feel alienated in this room. And the reason you still feel alienated, even in a culturally diverse room, is everybody in the room hates black people. That's why you still feel so alienated. The Chinese in the room don't like black people. The Arabs in the room don't like black people. The Native Americans in the room don't like black people. The Latinos in the room don't like black people. The East Indians in the room don't like black people. The Anglo-Saxons in the room don't like black people. And this is why you can take a black person from an all-white room. You could take a black person from an all-white room. And by the way, African Latinos, I'm not talking about you. You part of the family. Afro-Latinos, I'm not talking about you. You are part of the family as long as you identify with us. Okay? I'm talking about anti-African Latinos, not African Latinos. Stay with me. So you put a black person in an all-white room and you say, I feel a lot of racism in this all-white room. I feel a lot of tension in this all-white room. I feel a lot of bigotry in this all-white room. And then I take you from the all-white room and I put you in a room that's culturally diverse. And when I put you in the room that's culturally diverse, your uneasiness doesn't go down. Your uneasiness doesn't go down. Your uneasiness doesn't go down. Your uneasiness stays the same or goes up. Why does your uneasiness stay the same or goes up when you go from an all-white room to a multicultural room? When you go into the multicultural room, you should feel more comfortable. Why don't black people feel more comfortable when we go into the multicultural room? I see you, Sister Aaliyah. I see you, Sister Aaliyah Sutton Bay. How you doing, gorgeous? Shout out to my good sister Aaliyah Sutton Bay from Philly. I ain't heard from you in a while. You got to get at your brother. I got to come back on your radio show. The reason black people still feel uncomfortable is because now you're not just the victim of white racism. You're the victim of Chinese racism. You're the victim of Arab racism. You're the victim of Native American racism, Latino racism, European Jew racism. Oh, yeah. Multiculturalism is a joke, brothers and sisters. It is a joke. Why are we the only people who have to always defend our experience?
All right, let's take a brief pause for the cause, y'all. I want to say a really big welcome to all of my new subscribers and to all of my OG subscribers, my day ones, my ride or dies. Y'all know what it is. We in the building. Replay gang gang. Y'all know what it is. I'm rocking with the replay gang. Hey, y'all in the bushes. I see y'all in my analytics. Y'all might as well go on ahead and sub to the channel. Make sure that you have your notifications on so that you could know when I go live or upload new content. Guys, we are swiftly approaching a milestone on this channel. We are almost at 1,000 subs. Y'all, please, if you can, share my videos and make sure you drop me a comment, hit that like button. I'm trying to make sure that my videos get into the suggested videos in the algorithm on YouTube.
Look at when the police kill us. The police kill us, and there's a presumption of innocence, even though everybody saw the police take that black man's life. Look at the brother who just got tased to death. Look at the brother who just got tased to death. Look at the brother who just got tased to death. You're going to tell me that 2 or 3 cops can't take that young brother. He was not that large. You're trying to tell me y'all can't handcuff his ankles and carry his ass up out. That's what you're telling me. You can't handcuff the ankles and carry that man out. You could. You wanted to kill him. See, when people engage Africans, they want to harm us. So they create a situation that makes it look like we are aggressing them and offending them so they can take our life. You said he was resistant? Look at all the white men who murdered people and were taken alive with weapons. Look at the Buffalo shooter. See, some of you Negropeans want to defend the police. And one of the police was a black man. One of the police was a black man. The police that tased and killed that brother the other day, one of them was a black man. One of the police that tased and killed that brother the other day, one of them was black. And you're going to sit up here and tell me they had to tase him. They could have carried his ass out. They could have carried his ass up out of there. Look at the Buffalo shooter. He was fully armed and they didn't fire a single bullet. They talked him out. What did they do in Buffalo, New York? The police said, we talked him into surrendering. Wait a minute now. He just murdered all these people and you talked him into surrendering. So why didn't they talk the brother into not resisting instead of tasing him to death? If they can talk the Buffalo shooter into giving up his rifle, why couldn't they talk this defenseless young man into not resisting?
Now, this is a topic that I'll definitely agree with him on. You know, police brutality is something that is rarely discussed in the United States, well, really anywhere. And it needs to be addressed. There needs to be laws, rules, and regulations in place, and more monitoring of our police forces, because while they're here to protect and serve, some of them are not protecting and not serving anybody but themselves.
And you black people, I'm so sick of you always defending the white power structure. I keep telling you, we cannot take all these Africans with us for the Freedom March. These Negroes are loyal to white supremacy. Half of you Negroes are in love with your slave master. You are in love with him. There are black people who are absolutely in love with racism. They are married to racism. You know what we're going to do? We're going to have a big wedding ceremony. I want to officially marry all you buffoons. I want to marry all the buffoons in the community to racism. We're going to have some white mannequin dolls. I'm going to get some white mannequin dolls and put them in a wedding gown and let you beta male bootlickers walk down the aisle with the wedding song and put a ring on your finger. Let's officially marry you to racism. Let's just do it the right way. We need wedding rings. Where's our jewelers at? Where the jewelers at? We're the African Jew. We need some conscious jewelry. We need 2 million I love white people rings for black folks. Wedding rings. We need 2 million I love white people wedding rings. We're going to have a massive We Love Racism wedding ceremony for all the black people who are in love with their oppressor. We need to make that happen. We need to make that happen. When you endorse multiculturalism as a black person, when you endorse multiculturalism as a black person, you become an alien in a sea of people who don't like you. Imagine being a goldfish dropped in a fish tank full of piranha. Imagine being a goldfish dropped in a fish tank full of piranha. That's what you do when you endorse multiculturalism. You say the more color, the better. The more diversity, the better it is for everybody. The more diversity, the better it is for everybody. Really? So the Chinese man comes from China with a loan of credit to take over my neighborhood. The European Jew shows up from Israel with a line of credit to take over my neighborhood. The Arab shows up with a line of credit from Dubai or United Arab Emirates or Iraq or Afghanistan or Kuwait with a line of credit to take over my neighborhood, and somehow putting all them in the same space with me is going to make me feel better, look better, and do better. I don't know what crack you smoking. I don't know what crack y'all smoking, but that don't work for me. Multiculturalism is nothing but a disguise racism wears to psychologically seduce black people into dropping their guard. I'm going to say it again. Multiculturalism is a disguise that racism wears to psychologically seduce black people into dropping your guard. Nobody likes black people in the world. I've been all over the world. Nobody likes black people in the world. I've been all over the world. Nobody likes black people in the world. I've been all over the world. Stop playing this multicultural game. When they ask you, should we hire a Japanese? Should we hire an anti-African Dominican? Should we hire an Arab? Should we hire a Native American? You know what you should say? I think you need to hire another black person. I think you need to hire another black person. And why do you want me to hire another black person? Because I don't identify with nobody at this job. I don't identify with nobody at this school. I don't identify with nobody in this program, because everybody here showed up in America as an immigrant. I'm the only person in this class whose ancestors showed up as imported merchandise. Everybody in this school, everybody on this job, everybody in this community, they showed up in America as an immigrant with resources. I'm the only person who showed up as imported merchandise, and I'm the only one without any resources, and I'm the only one without a solid connection to the land of my birth, a solid political, economic connection to the land of my birth. So if you want to make it more diverse, hire more black people, because I'm the only person on the island in here. We have to stop being afraid to be black. We have to stop being afraid to let other people know we are black. For so long, brothers and sisters, we have stood down and we have bore the brunt of uncomfortability. And I'm telling you that in 2023, it is time for us to get comfortable and make them uncomfortable. I said in 2023, it is time for us to get comfortable and make them uncomfortable. I'm saying in 2023, it is time for us to get comfortable and make everybody else uncomfortable. Don't let them silence your black voice. Don't you let them silence your black voice. Speak up and say, I have a problem with this Christmas party. I have a problem with this holiday party. I have a problem with this retreat, because it seems like you catered to everybody's culture except mine. But aren't you American? I mean, I know you're African American, but you're still one of us. I am not one of you. I am not one of you.
These scenarios that he brings up, I'm sure they've happened to people, but that's never happened to me. And I've worked in corporate America for many of years, and I've never really had that experience. So I can't really relate, but I understand where he's coming from.
I am not an American by privilege. I am an American by circumstance. America isn't something I'm proud to be a part of. America is something that was done to me. When you say you are an Italian American, when you say you are a Greek American, a Russian American, a British American, you're talking about your prideful experience in this country. I have no such frame of reference. When I think of America and what it has been to me, I think of fire and brimstone. So the next time you decide to include me in a group of Americans, you better come and ask my opinion first. I am an African victim in America. I am an African prisoner of war in America. Don't you ever mislabel me as one of you ever again. Multiculturalism is a process of being seen but not heard. Good point, Sister Aaliyah. We're the only ones whose freedom was a matter of legislation. Excellent point. The good sister said, our freedom is the only freedom that had to be legislated, voted on, and approved and enforced. Because I would argue that right now, we still are not free. We don't have any rights. Black people have no rights. None. You have none. You don't have a right to live. You don't have a right to breathe. You don't have a right to walk down the street. You don't have a right to learn in the classroom. You don't have a right to disagree with a white person. You don't have a right to speak back to your boss. You have no rights. So you say, Dr. Umar, if we have no rights, how do we get justice? If you don't have any rights, how do you get justice? You get justice through organized power. Organized power is how you get justice. You're not going to get it voting. You're not going to get it voting. I keep telling you Negroes that. You're never going to get justice through the vote. You're never going to get it through the march. You're going to get it through organized power. You have no rights. Every Negro fighting against the government by himself is fighting a losing battle. Every Negro fighting against the government by himself is fighting a losing battle. We have to organize. Black people standing together in solidarity. We can fight behind closed doors all we want, brothers and sisters. We can fight behind closed doors all we want, brothers and sisters. We can fight behind closed doors all we want, but when we come outside, I don't care if you are Moor, Hebrew, God's and Earth, Nation of Islam, Pan-Africanist, Socialist, Garveyite, Muslim, Christian, Jehovah Witness. When we come outside, we got to be all for one, and we got to be one for all. You understand? See, before we start arguing the issue, we have to establish respect. Respect. See, white folks want to go straight to the issue. No, we're not even talking about the problem until we create an atmosphere of respect. Because until there's some respect right here, we ain't discussing shit. I don't care who you is, governor, mayor, president, congressperson, CEO. We need an atmosphere of respect. Because as African people, we deal in respect. So until we have an atmosphere of respect, nothing else going to get discussed. Y'all have to do that, brothers and sisters. Well, she says she didn't do it. Time out. Time out. The energy right now is very disrespectful, condescending, and racist. So before we talk about the issue, let us first establish an atmosphere of respect. Don't let nobody disrespect you. You check them. Stop right there. Change your tone. Change your attitude. You watch how you talk to me. Change your tone. Change your attitude. You walk how you talk to me. You watch how you talk to me. Multiculturalism makes us feel bad about putting ourselves first. And most of all, it removes us from the center of the human story. Black people are the center, the birthplace of the human story. You are the heart and soul. If somebody said, let's tell the story of humanity. Let's tell the story of humanity. Guess where it starts at? It starts in Africa, and it starts with black people. Let's tell the story of religion. It starts in Africa, and it starts with black people. Let's tell the story of civilization. It starts in Africa. It starts in black. Let's tell the story of astrology. Let's tell the story of medicine. Let's tell the story of... It all starts with black people, and it all starts in Africa. Now let's talk about the political costs of multiculturalism. It's intended to downplay the unique story and the unique struggle of African people. Multiculturalism is intended to downplay the unique story and the unique struggle of African people. I'm going to say it again. Multiculturalism is intended to downplay the unique story and the unique struggle of African people. It also leads to weak black communities. Multiculturalism leads to weak black communities. And the reason multiculturalism leads to weak black communities is you don't have a problem letting anybody colonize your neighborhood. The black community is the weakest community because it does not protect black people. I'm going to say it again. The black community is the weakest community because it does not defend black people. Look at gentrification. Look at gentrification. Did the white people come in your neighborhood and ask you if it's okay to buy a house in your neighborhood? But when you moved to the white neighborhood, you had to get approval from the White Homeowners Association. They had to meet with you and approve you to move on their block. Did they not? You had to meet with white people before you bought that $1 million house. White folks had to approve you before you could move on a block. But when they came into the black community and started gentrifying our neighborhood, they didn't ask a single black person what they thought about the white takeover. In fact, I saw a interview clip of Reggie Wright from Right Way Security, who used to work with Death Row. And he says Suge Knight tried to buy a house in a community where Sylvester Stallone lived. Suge Knight tried to buy a home in the community where Sylvester Stallone lived. And Sylvester Stallone didn't want no black people living in his community. So Sylvester Stallone went to the homeowners organization of that exclusive white community and told them he did not want Suge Knight living in his neighborhood. Isn't it interesting? White people can keep you out of their neighborhood, but you can't keep them out of your neighborhood. That's because you practice multiculturalism. They practice group economics, group politics, group racism. 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 Until black people understand that. Until you understand that, we will get nowhere. Multiculturalism dissipates your political power. Desegregation of public schools was multiculturalism. What did that get us? Desegregation of public schools. Look what it gave us. Look what it gave us. And 50 years after the schools desegregated, special ed and ADHD and disciplined schools and juvenile detention has destroyed black boys through public school. Civil rights integration destroyed black wealth and black ownership. Show me where multiculturalism has benefited African people. We have no independent institutions because we don't see color. We have no independent institutions because we don't see color. We have no independent institutions because we don't see color. It gives you this false notion that we have a shared history. We don't have a shared history with nobody. Can somebody please tell me who we have shared history with? Because multiculturalism presumes that all Americans have a shared history. What is the shared history? Can somebody help me out? I've been looking for a book on the history that black people share with everybody else in America. Can somebody please tell me what that history is? What is the shared history of the black man in America with the white man, the brown man, the yellow man, and the red man? Can somebody please tell me what is the shared history between the black man with the white man, the brown man, the yellow man, and the red man?
Now, the only connection that I can think of would be slavery with the other races. I think that's the only connection that we melanated beings have with other races, is slavery.
Somebody please show me how my history has anything in common with the white man, the red man, the brown man, or the yellow man. Please help me. See, when you endorse multiculturalism, when you endorse multiculturalism, you make it possible for things like all lives matter, all lives matter, all lives matter, all lives matter. That's a multicultural scam. All lives matter. Why are we focusing on black people who die? All kind of people die. Why are we focusing on black people who get killed by police? Other people get killed by police. All lives matter, not just black lives. That's what Candace Owens and Kanye said. That's what Candace Owens and Kanye said. That's what Candace Owens and Kanye, they said all lives matter. Look at that. Look at how they use multiculturalism against black people. Black lives matter doesn't mean all lives don't matter. Black lives matter doesn't mean all lives don't matter. Black lives matter means all lives matter except black lives. So we have to let y'all know that black lives matter because all lives matter except black lives. So when we say black lives matter, we reminding you damn racists. When we say black lives matter, we're reminding you damn racists. When we say black lives matter, we are reminding you racists that black lives matter as well. In fact, black lives matter so much. Black lives matter so much. Black lives matter so much that you brought us all the way from Africa to build up your civilization. So black lives must certainly matter. All the prison experiments you conducted on black people, black lives must certainly matter. All the financial exploitation you've conducted against black people, black lives must certainly matter. People of color, minority, and disadvantaged. 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 How do you deny black people while making them think you're solving problems for black people? How do you deny black people by making them think you're solving problems for black people? How do you deny black people while making them think you're solving problems for black people? You know how you do that? You come up with a new word that is not limited to black people, but includes all other groups of people. And by doing this, by making black people part of this solid bowl, by making black people part of this solid bowl, by making black people part of this solid bowl, you can take care of the Asians in the solid bowl. You can take care of the Arabs in the solid bowl. You can take care of the white women in the solid bowl. You can take care of the Native Americans in the solid bowl. You can take care of the East Indians in the solid bowl. You can take care of the homosexuals in the solid bowl. And you can take care of everybody in the solid bowl except the black olives in the black eggplant in the salad bowl. But because you manipulated the black olives and the black eggplant in the salad bowl into thinking they part of the salad, but they don't get no dressing. I said you manipulated the black olives and the black eggplant into thinking they part of the salad bowl, but they don't get no dressing. I said you got the black olive and the black eggplant thinking they are part of the salad, but they don't never get no salad dressing. Go to your city council. Philadelphia, St. Louis, Kansas City, Detroit, Phoenix, Little Rock, Birmingham, Houston, Miami, Atlanta, Raleigh, Milwaukee, Minneapolis. Go to any city council and say, how much of the city contracts went to black people? Go ask your city council, how much of the city contracts went to black people? Go ask your city council, how much of the city contracts went to black people? You know what they're going to tell you? They're going to say 20% of city contracts went to minorities. 20% of city contracts went to minorities. And you're going to say, can I see a list of the minority contractors? Can I see a list of the minority contractors? And guess what you're going to see? White women, white gay male homosexuals. Lord have mercy. You're going to see white gay males on the minority contract list, because homosexuals are considered minorities. This is how they keep the resources amongst white people. This is how they keep the resources amongst white people. Truth be told, the LGBT movement ain't nothing but a white supremacist front to keep the resources coming to white people, even when they're supposed to go to minorities. You're going to see white Native Americans. You're going to see Asians, Arabs, and everybody else, some Latino, and you ain't going to see no black people on the list. Even though black people might be the biggest so-called minority group in your city. Black people might be the biggest so-called minority group in your city. Black people might be the biggest so-called minority group in your city, and not a single black person got a contract. And whose fault is it? Ours. Why? We let the white man redefine us out of existence. We let the white man redefine us out of existence. You don't ever let your enemy define you. You don't ever let your enemy define you. You don't ever let your enemy define you. You don't ever let your oppressor tell you that I'm putting you in with a group of people called minority. I'm putting you in with a group of people called disadvantaged. I'm putting you in with a group of people called people of color. You don't define me. I'm black. The only group you're putting me in is the black box. You're not lumping me in with other people who hate me as much as you do. You're not lumping me in with other people who have way more resources than I do, just like you. You're not going to put me in a sea of yellow, a sea of brown, and a sea of red and make me think that I'm doing better because those races are a little darker than the white races. We're not playing those games, Mr. White Man. We're not playing those games, Mr. White Man. Barack Obama and Joe Biden did the same thing to the HBCUs. Barack Obama and Joe Biden did the same thing to the HBCUs. Barack Obama and Joe Biden did the same thing to the HBCUs. Barack Obama and Joe Biden just did the same thing. Just Blaze, I see you, Just Blaze. Bashir Kareem Abdullah, servant of the Most High. Shout out to my brother, Just Blaze. Listen, we are going to have to fight the first fight, one of the first fights, one of the first political fights that we have to fight we have to redefine ourselves out of the minority box. We have to redefine ourselves out of the people of color box. We have to redefine ourselves outside of the disadvantaged box, because as long as we stay in those boxes, as long as we stay in the minority box, the disadvantaged box, the people of color box, they will be able to ignore us, brothers and sisters. They will be able to ignore us. As hard as we are fighting for reparations, as hard as we are fighting for reparations, we need to fight for a reclassification of the American African away from people of color and minority. We do not want to be included with them. We have nothing in common with them. That is nothing but a scam to take resources from black people and give it to others. Joe Biden and Barack Obama did what? Rename the HBCU initiative. What did they call it? It's minority serving institutions. It's no longer the HBCU initiative. It's the minority serving institutions. So now money that was going to the HBCU, money that was going to the HBCU can now go back to white colleges who serve Latinos, Native Americans, Arabs, Chinese, homosexuals, and snow bunnies. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They're trying to destroy the HBCUs. Part of the extermination of black people is the crushing of the HBCU movement. Part of the extermination of African people is the crushing of the HBCU movement. I want to send out a message to all HBCU presidents. If you are a student at an HBCU, please listen to me right now. I have something very important to say. If you are the student of an HBCU, if you are the professor at an HBCU, if you are on the board of governors at an HBCU, if you are the president, administrator, secretary, let the president of the HBCU know. If your enrollment is struggling, if you're having trouble bringing black students and keeping black students in your HBCU, if you are struggling to retain your black HBCU students, reach out to Dr. Umar Johnson. He's willing to teach a class at your HBCU. Dr. Umar is the most popular black scholar in the country. He will come and teach a psychology class. He will come and teach an education class. He will come and teach a political science class. He will come and teach a history class. Because if you let Dr. Umar teach a class for your undergraduates, we promise you every undergraduate at your HBCU will want to be in Dr. Umar's class. Black power, black power, black power. They're trying to crush the HBCUs. This is what the HBCU should have done, and they can still do it. This is what the HBCU should have done, and they can still do it. This is what the HBCUs should have done, and they can still do it. They should have marched on Washington. The HBCUs and all their students and all their alumni should have marched on Washington and protested Barack Obama and Joe Biden for reclassifying you from HBCU to minority serving institution. That was a multicultural scam. That was a multicultural scam, and the HBCUs accepted that multicultural scam without no pushback. We're going to see more HBCUs close down if we do not fight for the reclassification of HBCUs. I have no problem with colleges getting money to help Hispanic Americans. I have no problem with colleges getting money to help Native Americans. I have no problem. I have no problem with colleges helping any community advance their education and stability. I'm against nobody. I am 100% unapologetically against nobody. But at the same time, I am 100% unapologetically African, and you will not let the brown man take money from the black man. You will not let the red man take money from the black man. You will not let the yellow man take money from the black man. I won't let you do it. I won't let you do it. I will not let you do it. Give the red man his own pot of money. Give the yellow man his own pot of money. Give the brown man his own pot of money. Give the poor white man his own pot of money. But you are not going to let them drink from the cup of funds that came from the brutality, massacre, dehumanization, marginalization, and extermination of African people. Nobody gets to take resources set aside for black people. Nobody. Let's talk about the financial costs of multiculturalism. We have no powerhouse black businesses. One of the biggest financial costs of multiculturalism is Black Wall Street. One of the biggest financial costs of multiculturalism is Black Wall Street. One of the biggest, I see you, Sister Colleen Young Horton. What up, Puff? What up, Puff? I'm pulling up to homecoming this year, Puff. I ain't been to a homecoming since I graduated from Millersville with my first master's degree in school psychology in the year 2000. I ain't been to a homecoming since 2000. That's 22 years. So I'm pulling up to Millersville University homecoming, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm coming. Puff, I'm coming to homecoming. Roll out the red carpet. King Kong consciousness is returning to ground zero. Black Student Union President Emeritus. I'm coming back to campus. Homecoming 2023. Nothing but love. I don't want to see no hate. We too old for the hate, fellas. If I took your girl in college, that was 30 years ago. Get over that shit, okay? Get over it. I'm coming back and I'm spreading love to everybody. Let me stay focused. Multiculturalism destroys our black financial power. It does not allow us to fund our own black businesses because we are not financially selfish enough for black businesses to survive. I'm going to say it again. We are not financially selfish enough for black businesses to survive. I'm going to say it one more time. We are not financially selfish enough. Did y'all hear what I want you to hear me? If black people are going to make it, we have to become selfish as a group. You compete through selfishness. Selfishness is necessary for group survival. Let me say it again. Selfishness is necessary for group survival. Let me say it one more time. Selfishness is necessary for group survival. Chinese are where they are because they are selfish as a group. European Jews are where they are because they are selfish as a group. Anglo-Saxons and Arabs, everybody, Latinos, everybody's group power can be traced to political selfishness. They do not share power. Economic selfishness. They do not share wealth. I don't give a damn what the pastor tells you this Sunday. I don't give a damn what the imam told you today on Friday. I don't care what the Roman Catholic bishop tells you tomorrow on Saturday. Selfishness is a virtue for black people who want to survive the 21st century. Group selfishness, not individual selfishness. We can't be selfish with each other. I'm talking about as a group. We have to become politically selfish and we have to become financially selfish. If we do not do that, we will not survive. We must become politically and financially selfish. When the last time you seen Chinese man buy some soul food? When is the last time you seen a Chinese man or woman in a black soul food restaurant? When is the last time? Because you are always in his restaurant. You are always in the Chinese restaurant. We are always in the Chinese restaurant. So for all the millions of dollars we've given the Chinese stop and go, you mean to tell me you've never seen a Chinese in a black soul food restaurant? Yes, I can. Invitations to speak, you can text them to me or email them to me, drumarjohnson@yahoo.com. DRUMAR Johnson@yahoo.com.
Now, I have seen Chinese people in Jamaican restaurants and soul food restaurants. I mean, maybe not in the tri-state area, but definitely here in the South, I've seen it.
215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. Just text me, Just Blaze. I'll save the date. Let me know the date and time where it's going to be. You know why the Chinese don't buy at the black store? They selfish. Do you see European Jews at the Chinese restaurant? Do you see European Jews at the Chinese restaurant? No, because they selfish. They supposed to be selfish. I'm not going to give you $1 of my people's money. See, the reason these other groups can be so selfish, politically and economically, their money belongs to the group. Their money, the Chinese say, this dollar is a Chinese dollar. I can't give a Chinese dollar to somebody who's not Chinese. The Jew says this is a Jewish dollar. I can't give this Jewish dollar to somebody who's not a Jew. The Arab said this is an Arab dollar. I can't give this Arab dollar to somebody who's not an Arab, but you don't think like that because you have been multiculturalized against your own community. Black people have been multiculturalized against your own community. Black people have been multiculturalized against your own community. And since you've been multiculturalized against your own community, you don't feel bad empowering other groups with your dollar. You don't feel no guilt, no shame, no remorse by empowering other groups with your money. Black women, beautiful African queens. First, let me salute the butter almond queendom, the butter pecan queendom, the caramel queendom, the fudge queendom, the nutmeg queendom, the cinnamon queendom, the African vanilla queendom, the African lemonade queendom. I salute all of the African queendoms. But black women, you will never find another group of people who will pump $30 billion. Sisters, I love y'all, but y'all need a revolution. And y'all need a revolution in self-esteem. And y'all need a revolution in cultural authenticity. The black woman, who is the original woman, is the most culturally unauthentic woman in America. I do not mean to disrespect the mothers of our children, the queens of our community, but I have to be honest. I am so disappointed in the black woman culturally. How can the mother of civilization be the most culturally inauthentic person in this country? Your hair is fake. Your ass is fake. Your breast is fake. Your lips is fake. Your nose is fake. Everything. Where is your authenticity? Now, I'm not going to knock you if you went and got a little job done on one part of your body. I'm cool. I'm going to live with one part. I'm going to live with that. But you know what y'all do? Y'all go through a whole metamorphosis. The black woman goes through an entire European metamorphosis where you got to change your face, your nose, your lips, your hips, every skin color. Guess how much money the African family globally, not just America, globally, not just America, the African family globally spends $8 billion on skin lightener. Did y'all hear what I just said? $8 billion on skin lightener globally. They said it's going up to $12 billion on skin lightening cream. Hating your skin color is a $12 billion business. Hating your hair is a $30 billion business. Our self-hatred is another race's heaven. Your self-hatred is another people's heaven. Your self-hatred is another people's heaven. Your self-hatred is another people's heaven. Black women, y'all have to do something about this $30 billion hair and beauty care bill that we keep on investing into Koreans and Chinese every year. We got to stop this shit. Forgive my language. Black women, y'all have to do something. One of the first conferences we're going to have at the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy, one of the first conferences we're going to have is a natural black beauty conference. We must have a natural black. Who coming to the natural black beauty conference? What black men and black women want to present a presentation at the natural black beauty conference? We got to bring it back. $30 billion on the way we look. $30 billion on the way we look. Am I the only person who sees something wrong with that? $30 billion on the way we look. That is insane. We out here making other people rich, and then we crying about tuition at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey. You putting $30 billion into the Koreans, and you crying about tuition at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Come on, brothers and sisters. Come on now. Imitation. Imitation is cultural genocide. You don't ever imitate nobody else. I love women with natural hair. I love women with natural hair. Sisters, we need y'all to go natural. We're going to have a natural hair conference and contests. You'll be able to win some money and win a trophy for the best shortcut, best locks, best afro, best long locks, short locks, blowout. We're going to make being black attractive again. We have to make being black attractive again. The most honorable Marcus Garvey said, we have to sell blackness back to black people. We have to sell blackness back to black people, brothers and sisters. By being multicultural, we're allowing ourselves to be financially exploited by the other groups. It's also an argument against reparations. Multiculturalism is an argument against reparations. Multiculturalism is an argument against reparations. I'm sorry, we cannot have a debate, family. No disrespect, my TikToker. No disrespect to my TikToker. No disrespect to my TikToker, but in the words of the late, great Pan-Africanist master teacher, Dr. John Henry Clark, he said, quote, I only debate my equals. All others I teach. I only debate my equals. All others I teach. No disrespect. I have 6 degrees. How many you got? No disrespect. I built 1 school. I own 2. How many institutions you building? No disrespect. I've raised the consciousness of more black people than probably almost any black man almost ever in modern history. I know I'm up there. If I'm not number one, I'm up there. How many black people you brought to consciousness? I've saved more black boys from the special ed to prison pipeline than any black man in American history. In history, how many you saved? So no disrespect. Just because I'm humble, don't you ever forget that I don't know who the fuck I am in this world. Don't ever forget. King Kong consciousness knows exactly who I am. Don't get it fucked up. Do you understand me? Do you understand me? Do you understand me? Now, last but not least, let's talk about the intellectual and cultural costs of multiculturalism. It denies our right to claim what's ours. If you are multicultural, it denies your right to claim what's yours, like reparations. They say, why you want to take from the country? We all need help. Why you want to take from the country? We all poor. Why you want to take from the country? We all struggling. No, we not. Not the way black people are. Oh, no, we not. Half the black men in the major cities been unemployed since the 80s. That's an epidemic. And they keep talking about crime and ain't nobody talking about livable wage job. They keep talking about crime, but ain't nobody talking about livable wage job. They keep talking about crime, but ain't nobody talking about livable wage job. Don't talk to me about stopping no crime, mayor, governor, president, until you talk about livable wage job. Let me give you an example. Misappropriation of funds. This is why we must fight for reclassification out of POC and minority. In Philadelphia, they're bringing back the trolleys. In Philadelphia, they're bringing back the trolleys. Can somebody explain to me why the city of Philadelphia and other cities are spending money on transportation projects that they don't need, spending money on art programs they don't need, spending money on Ukrainian refugees, Afghan refugees, and half the black men are unemployed? Somebody help me out. How you got money for Ukrainian refugees and you got all these unemployed black men, and then Joe Biden says he's going to give the Ukrainians a social security check? If you are a Ukrainian refugee in America, you can get government funds, but you don't pay no taxes. Lord have mercy. If you are a Ukrainian refugee in the United States, you can get an SSI check. You're not a citizen, you don't pay taxes, you don't own a business, but you can get an SSI check, but black people can't get reparations. Brothers and sisters, help me out. Brothers and sisters, if I'm lying, I'm dying. Can somebody explain to me who Joe Biden think he is to give the Ukrainians an SSI check when you got homeless black people all over America? If you give these homeless black people a $950 SSI check, if you give these homeless black people a $950 SSI check, most of them could get off the streets. We have more black homeless people than any time in the history of this country since 1960. Why? Because gentrification is putting our people on the street. Gentrification is putting our people on the street. Gentrification is putting our people on the street. You have more black homeless than any time in the past 60 years. And instead of giving them a homeless voucher, what about a homeless voucher? What about, so you're going to ignore all these black people who built the country, and you're going to give the Ukrainians a monthly SSI check of $950. You don't work, you don't pay taxes, you didn't build the country, but you're going to get a welfare check from President Joe Biden. But he just sent the Haitians back home. He put the Haitians on a boat back to Haiti. So the Haitians got to go back home to Haiti, but the Afghanis can stay, get medical care, housing, education, and an SSI check. And y'all complaining about black people being on welfare. Y'all complaining about black people being on welfare. Y'all complaining about black people being on welfare, but you giving the Ukrainians free houses, free medical, free education, and a social security check up to $950 a month, but you crying about black people being on welfare. You got all these white men becoming millionaires off of legal cannabis and marijuana after y'all done sent 50 years of black men to jail for smoking and selling weed. Y'all done sent a half a century of black men to jail for smoking and selling weed, and now white men are making millions and billions of dollars legally off the same marijuana y'all sent black men to jail for. Y'all destroyed the black family over marijuana for 50 years. And now you letting white men make millions and billions of dollars off of the same marijuana that you sent all those black men to jail for. And you Negroes got the audacity to celebrate July 4th. You Negroes got the audacity to celebrate July 4th. You Negroes got the audacity to celebrate July the 4th. Another problem with multiculturalism. Another problem with multiculturalism. Another problem with multiculturalism. It allows the cultural exploitation of black art by other people without restitution. Multiculturalism allows the exploitation of black art by non-Africans without payment or restitution. No disrespect, DJ Khaled is an Arab. No disrespect, DJ Khaled is an Arab. No disrespect, DJ Khaled is an Arab. Eminem is an Anglo-Saxon. Eminem is an Anglo-Saxon. Eminem is an Anglo-Saxon. These men have made millions of dollars off of black art, and they never paid a black tax. Can somebody explain that to me? Can somebody explain that to me? Can somebody explain to me? No disrespect to either one, but DJ Khaled is an Arab. The Arabs owe black people reparations for slavery. So can somebody go ask DJ Khaled a question for me? Can somebody go ask DJ Khaled a question for me? Can somebody go ask DJ Khaled a question for me? DJ Khaled, since you made so much money off of black music, DJ Khaled, since you made so much money off of black music as an Arab, are you willing to publicly state that the Arab states, the Arab League, owes African people reparations for slavery? Are you ready to say that, DJ Khaled? DJ Khaled, are you ready to say that the Arab nations that still participate in modern day slavery need to be charged and prosecuted in world court for selling black people into slavery? I'm trying to understand why all these fake bougie gangster rappers are not asking DJ Khaled about modern slavery in Arabia or ancient slavery in Arabia. The Arabs are trading black people into slavery right now. Since DJ Khaled has made all this money on black rap, I think DJ Khaled should be the spokesperson against slavery, modern slavery in Africa, and for reparations to Africa for beginning the African slave trade, because it was the Arabs who began the African slave trade. So somebody need to go and ask DJ Khaled, what is he willing to say or do about slavery in Africa yesterday and today? There was a conversation about whether or not Latinos participated in the birth of hip hop. The question was whether or not Latinos participated in the birth of hip hop. Did Latinos, are they the co-creators of hip hop? The answer is no, they are not. Hip hop is an African cultural art form. Rap music came from the songs that our ancestors sang on the plantation as they worked. Rap music came from the rhythms and the poems that our ancestors sang on the plantation. Rap music grew out of the blues, which grew out of the poetry of enslaved Africans on the plantation. So if you were not an enslaved African, and if you don't consider yourself to be a black African, how can you be co-creator of rap when rap descended from the plantation poetry and plantation rhythm of the American African slave experience? No disrespect to nobody. No disrespect to nobody. No disrespect to nobody. Now, my African Cubans, my African Puerto Ricans, my African Dominicans, they can say hip hop came from me because they're coming from an African perspective. The African Cubans, the African Ricans, the African Dominicans can say, I'm the father of hip hop because they're speaking as a member of the African family, just like Dr. Umar, who is not a rapper. And I was not there when hip hop had its birth. But because I am an African, I can claim hip hop as mine because the culture belongs to the people. The culture don't belong to the individual. But if you're trying to say that Latino culture co-created hip hop, that's blasphemy. If you're trying to say Latino culture co-created hip hop, that's blasphemy, because hip hop came from the plantation poetry and the plantation rhythm. That's where hip hop came from. So if you don't identify with the Africans who was on those plantations in America who gave birth to hip hop, then don't say you gave birth to hip hop. We had better stop letting people come in and steal. Y'all let the white man steal jazz. Y'all let the white man steal soul food because of multiculturalism. Because of multiculturalism. And now you're letting white people steal African spirituality. Y'all don't learn. Y'all don't learn. Y'all letting white people steal hip hop. Y'all don't learn. You are so multicultural. You can't even tell when the multiculturalism is being used against you. Last, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Make sure you subscribe to www.drumar.tv. One of the biggest side effects of multiculturalism, one of the biggest side effects of multiculturalism, one of the biggest side effects of multiculturalism is it defeats the self-esteem, self-worth, and self-pride of African children. It defeats the self-esteem, the self-worth, and the self-pride of African children. Multiculturalism defeats the self-esteem, the self-worth, and the self-pride of African children. When they sit in a room and we brainwash them into multiculturalism, everybody matters. Everybody contributed the same. You're no different than nobody else. Try to fit in and get along. And then Chinese start making racial jokes about black people and black history. Arabs start making racial jokes about black history and black people. European Jews start making racial jokes about black people and black history. Racist anti-African Latinos start making jokes about black people and black history. Native Americans start making jokes about black people and black history. And your child is hurting inside because you never taught him who he was. You sent him to church and let the church make him think color don't matter. Because if color don't matter, culture don't matter. If color don't matter, culture don't matter. And so your child been running around with a head full of Jesus, a head full of Moses, a head full of Muhammad, and no knowledge of self. I said your child been running around with a head full of Islam, a head full of Christianity, a head full of Hebrewism, but no knowledge of self. And then when the other kids start poking jokes at him, he don't even know how to counter the jokes because he don't know a damn thing about who he is. Brothers and sisters, we had better wake up in 2023. I am excited. I am motivated. I am looking forward to working with every one of you who wants to work with me as long as your head and your heart is in the right place. See, these two things right here, the head and the heart must be in alignment with African liberation. Your head and your heart must be in alignment with African liberation. You must think progressively about African liberation, and you must feel the urgency of the need for African. You have to love African people to want to free African people. You have to love African people in order to free African people. The head must be African and the heart must be African. But if you running around with a snow bunny, if you running around with a snow bunny, if you running around with a snow puppy, if you running around with a snow puppy, how can your head and your heart be in alignment? You tell me your head is with the people, but your heart is with the white woman. You tell me your head is with the people, but your heart is with the white woman. You tell me your head is with the people, but your heart is with the white woman. That's not alignment, brothers and sisters. You say you love your people, but your head is with the white man. You're loyal to the white man. You're struggling with the white man, but you claim to love your people. No, no, no. Your head and your heart got to be in alignment, brothers and sisters. Your head and your heart got to be in alignment. Hit that Cash App, $ FDMG School. Hit that Cash App, $ FDMG School. Las Vegas, February the 18th. 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 Pittsburgh, April. St. Louis, April. Pittsburgh, April. St. Louis, April. Island of Curacao, Republic of Suriname, April. Island of Curacao, Republic of Suriname, April. If you need to reach me, 215-989-9858. Dr. Umar Johnson at yahoo.com, drumarjohnson.com, TikTok, Prince of Pan-Africanism with a K, Instagram, Dr. Umar Johnson, Twitter, Dr. Umar Johnson, Facebook, Dr. Umar Ifatunde. FDMG 2023, grand opening coming soon. If you did not donate, you cannot enter the premises. I love y'all. Happy New Year to everybody. Let's get that liberation. Peace and Pan-Africanism.
All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this video as well as my commentary. Be sure to leave me a comment, hit that like button. And thank you guys for your continued support and understanding with all of these re-uploads. It's an interesting walk down memory lane for me. Kind of like gratifying. I didn't know that I put in this much work on my YouTube channel. And it's just really good to see. So I will be back with another re-upload very soon. All right, y'all. Until next time.